The victim can be a giant. The victim can be an ox. The victim can be a sheep, but a lion is never sacrificed. If you dare to enter a lion's den, it means you have accepted either to tear apart or be torn apart. My dear friends, today we will talk neither about the confessions of an organized crime leader, nor just about a journalist's file. Stories. Today, we will listen to the heart-to-heart echoes resonating in the dark corridors of the state. In this broadcast, we enter a vast labyrinth stretching from Sedat Peker's sleep-disturbing revelations to Cüneyt Özdemir's unbelievable central bank corruption exposés, from electoral balances in Cyprus to the modern laboratories of the deep state. If you are with us in the search for truth, do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hype this broadcast to make our voice louder. If you are ready, let us enter that much talked about but little understood labyrinth. Dear brothers and sisters, is your tea or coffee ready? Lean back. Today we set aside the cold walls of formality. Let us speak as if we are having a heart-to-heart, in a friendly gathering, in the back room of a small shop. Building a strategic narrative is not just stacking data, it is touching the heart. This sincerity between us does not diminish the seriousness of the information. On the contrary, it recalls the ancient ground of this land's truth. Where a word is a matter of honor, there is no room for false information or fabricated stories here. Here there is truth, even if bitter, even if naked. In a state operation, procedure comes before substance, because procedure represents the seriousness and ethical boundaries of the state. And the operation on Sedat Peker's home. The fact that no female police officer was sent to a house containing only a woman and 3 children is not just a legal procedural error in the public memory, but a deep ethical wound. My dear friends, in the tradition of a Kafka's origin Black Sea Turkish family, as Peker puts it, one does not sit on a chair where a lady has been sitting until the body heat is dissipated. We grew up with these teachings. Intervening in a woman's private belongings without a female police officer is not an ordinary search activity. Even a thief's or a drug dealer's home is raided with female police officers. So this preference in this operation shows where the system's ethical compass has deviated. This is not an operation, but a strategy of humiliation and playing with honor. But something has been forgotten when honor is toyed with. The walls of the labyrinth begin to shake. Events that seem isolated actually expose the greatest power networks. The gunshots echoing in the Beykoz mansions are the sound of an armor of immunity cracking. The allegations revolving around Tolga Agar and Nusret and Amir Saragul show how justice has turned into a theater of blaming the driver. The phone signals of the names who were there at the time of the incident give the coordinates of a dark network. Here is the lineup of those allegedly there at that moment, verifiable by signal data. Tolga Agar, the son of a figure described as a parliamentarian and the head of the deep state. Amir Saragul, the owner of the house where the incident took place. Sejin Boran Korkmaz, the businessman alleged to have coordinated during the incident. Nusret Gürkse, the famous restaurateur at the center of the dispute. And Selim Özdemir, the driver alleged to have been forced to take the blame, while the phones of these names coincide at the same point. The packaging of the crime onto a driver is the most concrete testimony that it is not justice but power that manifests. This is not just a gunshot, it is an expression of that great crack within the system. The alliance that Peker defines as Mehmet Ahabe Ahar and the Pelikanslar carries the claim of a mechanism that bypasses the state hierarchy. While the question of why there was no operation on the Turkish leg of that famous 4.19 tons of cocaine seized on the Colombia-Panama line still hangs in the air, the timing of the raid on Peker's home is very telling. The real so what layer here is subconscious perception management. Sending narcotics police and their dogs to the home of a man who claims to have fought drugs all his life is an effort to establish a Peker equals drugs association in the public mind. This is not a police raid, but a media operation. These exhibitions, carried out with the coordination of the Pelican Group, are the art of breaking down the traditional structure of the state and presenting personal agendas as state policy. Now let us come to that tragic central bank scandal brought to the agenda by Cüneyt Özdemir. The Emre Stener case is the fruit of the same systemic rot as the drug routes. My dear friends, this issue is not just a 100 million TL corruption. There are London School of Economics and Bohassé's University graduates, brightest minds involved. These PhD-holding elites stooping so low as to steal interns' meal cards, defraud the interbank card center through non-tender jobs and shell companies proves once again that education is not a guarantee of morality. The man whose signature is under the money in our pocket being mentioned with corruption is a trip on the state's honor. The signature on money is the state's trust. If that signature is tarnished, the paper in the wallet means nothing. The arms of the labyrinth also reach into sports. The actors of the July 3rd conspiracy from 14 years ago are still in strategic positions. The stance exhibited by names like Lütfi Arih Bohagan and Halan Helvach while they were at the Turkish Football Federation, and their subsequent moves to Galatasaray are among the clearest examples of the dark labyrinth. The trauma left by those who plotted at drinking tables and interpreter-free meals continues with the drug test operation against Sedat Peker. The process that began with the allegation that cannabis was grown at Sedat Peker's home in Ivolish shows that the old match-fixing files are still being used as weapons. The institutional rot has reached such a point that while the state police round up celebrities and parade them on a bus, they do not even go near those who brought in the actual 4.19 tons. This institutional decay and targeted media operations alienate the nation's educated people from their homeland, as confirmed by Guardian and Catherine sources. The escape of Turks to Athens and Dubai is not a plan B, but a migration of hope. There are two different profiles. Here, the Athens line, or white Turks, pay 250,000 euros for a golden visa and seek the peace, culture, and aesthetics of old Istanbul and the Kolonaki district of Athens. This is a cultural asylum migration. The Dubai line, or new money, is more investment-oriented, seeking tax-free living and capital security. A new rich profile looking for legal/financial protection. The system that condemns its citizens to choose between these two options is actually liquidating its own future. Within all this dark picture, honorable stances that never expire even after centuries serve as our compass. The example Peker gives through Site Ruza is essentially the book of psychological superiority. The words of father, whose son was hanged before his eyes, spoke to his executioner with his last breath, "I could not cope with your tricks. This became a sorrow for me, but I did not bow down to you either. Let this be a sorrow for you." This is touching the Garatullah, a concept meaning divine zeal or the oppressed's last resort. The sigh of the oppressed sometimes destroys the most powerful systems. Where institutional justice ends, the silent explosion of social conscience begins. That sorrow one day will sweep away all those labyrinths. At the end of the day, the truth emerges sooner or later, like water evaporating and returning as torment. The saying, "If you enter the lion's den, you must accept being torn apart," summarizes the weight of this journey. As Atsi said in his poem The End of the Roads, there is no place in this struggle for cowards and the disheartened, who abandon their comrades and turn back. Speaking the truth sometimes requires burning all ships. We have no business with cowards or those who abandon their comrades halfway. My dear friends, my brothers and sisters, may you be entrusted to God. Take good care of yourselves, and never forget, do not let your tea get cold. Because the key to getting out of this labyrinth is hidden in our sincere heart-to-heart. So be it, let this be a sorrow for them,